Hello viewers and welcome to Radio Dwarka's Journey to CXO. Today in our show we have Mr.Joy Basu. He is the Chief Financial Officer and Director at the Times Internet Limited. He is a chartered accountant with over 35 years of experience, and as a CFO itself he has around 20 plus years of experience. He has been the CFO of companies like Rediff.com, Sterlite Technologies and Go Air. So I would like to welcome him on our show. Hello Mr. Basu, how are you doing?
Hi Ruchi, nice to be here. Thank you for calling.
It's our pleasure to have you on our show, sir. So sir, as the name suggests, the show is about journey to being a CXO. And this journey, has turbulent times, good times, and we would like to know about your journey today in this show and educate our youngsters and learn and teach them about how this journey has been. So my first question to you is going to be, what were some of the key milestones in this journey of yours to becoming a CFO of an organization, of any organization?
Well, I went up the ladder step by step. I've been a finance person throughout. I joined as a management trainee years ago and a company called Tata Tea.
Okay.
And which was a company which was at tea plantations, agriculture. Then I moved into manufacturing. I worked in different organizations, some of which you mentioned. And from there, transitioned to the internet world, where I've been for a long time. Even before this, I was in a company called Rediff.com, which we took public on the NASDAQ. So I have worked in different areas of finance. I've worked in treasury, I've worked in MIS, I've worked in accounting, I've been in tax, right? In all these building blocks, which I think are very important to get an all-rounded exposure instead of focusing on one particular area, one particular niche. This is what excites me. I'm only going to do this. One needs a very well-rounded experience in all facets of finance, which I've been fortunate to get.
So, what were some of the key decisions, maybe if I ask you, that help you move that ladder?
The key decisions were, I would say, I have changed a few jobs and I believe that, look, you should be continuously in the learning and growth mode as a professional. And once you feel that learning is, you're not getting that kind of learning or that kind of recognition, then one should look outside the organization. That's good for you, good for the organization also.
So, sir, as you said, and again, there are two sides of either changing an organization or staying in the organization.
Right.
So, is there a negative of changing? Because, and again, maybe I'm asking this question because sometimes people say that if you change industries or you change organizations, then you're not able to kind of justify your expertise in any of the fields. So, what's your...
No, I agree with you. Frequent chopping and changing, will make a person look like a rolling stone. Right? And it won't do you any good, your career any good either. But you see, my changes have been after a good, 7-8 years working in any organization.
Okay.
Number one. Number two, and don't change for the sake of changing. In organizations, if there is scope for you to grow, you take these big multinational companies, where people generally stick on, large banks, they keep on changing your role, keep on evolving you. The important thing is you have got to grow as a person, you've got to keep learning and moving up the ladder, and if you're getting that satisfaction, there is no need for you to change here. Having said this, do not take your job for granted. In today's world, somebody the other day I was, seeing on the net, I don't remember who, said the most risky thing to do in today's world is to do a job.
You're right, I guess.
In our times, all the people like me, who didn't want to take the risk and become an entrepreneur, etc., and a businessman, you ended up taking a job.
Right.
And one of the reasons, let me face it, was safety, security, stability, but that's a thing of the past. The world is changing so fast. What job that seems, a job that seems stable today may be highly unstable tomorrow, may disappear also. And we cannot predict it yet. So the important thing is you've got to continuously keep abreast of what's going on around the world. Let me tell you, when I started working in the year, I think it was 1985, I joined Tata company and which didn't have any computers.
Right.
There was even the CA final exam in those days, a paper called Systems Analysis and Data Processing. I don't know if it's still there. And I gave that exam and cleared it without seeing a computer. No computers. Then came mainframes.
Right.
Remember you probably haven't seen mainframes. They were giant machines with very low computing power in megabytes.
Yeah.
And today we talk about gigabytes and terabytes. AC rooms. It was almost like a temple. You had to take off your shoes outside, walk into that sanitized environment and stare at a big machine, which by today's standards you think, I don't know what, the memory was probably 5 or 10 MB is my guess, etc. When today our phones have got, gigabytes of memory. Right, so from there one transitioned on to PCs, and then to networked PCs, and then came much later cloud and what do you call it, your
tabs and
absolutely cloud computing and stuff, etc. So these evolutions you've got to keep abreast of, and that's a never-ending learning. I'm very optimistic that the AI is going to change the world, change the way the finance function performs. Every function performs. In what way I can't tell you, but whatever it is, we have to grasp it and keep on changing. And the youngsters of today need to make themselves employable. That's what's most important. And for employability, you need to increase your learning. You need to have work in different areas, in different functions, not in different functions. Within the same functions, there are many different things to do. You should try to master as much as possible and make yourself employable. So even if your job does go and there's something nobody can predict today, right, you will find another one.
So I guess the next obvious question would be, how do you keep yourself abreast? Because I'm sure you've taken a lot of things in terms of, so what are some of those advices in terms of how do people really keep themselves abreast of things? Reading?
My case, it's a mixture. Voracious reading. In my time, we didn't have internet and stuff. So as a child, when I grew up, etc.,
Books.
Yeah, that's right. Books were our company. And particularly, I was an only child, so I didn't have brothers, sisters, etc. Right? So I used to immerse myself in books. Even now, I have a pretty big book collection. And number one, reading, yes, continue to read. Okay, the way in which I read has changed. Today, I read on the laptop. I prefer to read on the laptop, on the Kindle, etc. But reading, number one, immerse yourself in reading, right? Talk to people, experts, colleagues, people who know more than you. People who work in your organization, they might be junior in age, but I get much of my learning from them. Keep your eyes and ears open, attend conferences, meet people, network. It's a mixture of all this.
What are some of those leadership qualities that any of those individuals should have to be a potential CXO?
To be a good leader, you must first be a good follower. You have to lead, right, primarily with knowledge. You have to build up that knowledge as you go along. Go up the ladder. Somebody said, Edison, I think, said that, genius is 99% perspiration and 1% inspiration. So similarly, in any job, in any function, yes, there is I wouldn't call it the grind. There's a learning that you must do. Try to learn as much possible about the finance function, and the finance function itself is evolving. Gain more and more knowledge as you go along. Learn as much as possible. I tell my colleagues that try to make yourselves redundant. Redundant means build a good team around you. Trust, empower, delegate. Do not abdicate. Responsibility is yours. Right? And that's how you slowly move up the ladder. And I say slowly because, nowadays I find youngsters, particularly if I may say this, want to move up very fast. You want to go up an elevator. You don't want to climb stairs. But I'm afraid that's not going to happen. It's just, the race is slow and steady, right? Doesn't have to be at the snail space, but it won't be at a rocket space either. Number one. And number two, to be a good leader, as I said, you got to be first a good follower, number one, a good team player, number two. And to be a good leader, when you get into, more and more senior, you have to start recruiting people, building a team, get the best talent.
So, Mr. Basu, this journey of yours, or maybe the career that you are in and the position that you are in, I'm sure it requires a lot of time and effort for you, right? So how do you really balance your life and your job together? Because in today's time, work-life balance is one of the biggest challenges that any one of the people face. So how have you managed that?
I'm afraid you're asking the wrong person, because I have not been particularly good at that and striking a balance. Today my children are grown up, and I must say I've not spent as much time with them as I should have, and it's been my failing, it's my fault, it's not something I'm proud of. Work-life balance is very important, extremely important, but I'll say a big but here. Work-life balance is something that means it means one thing to you, it means one thing to me, it means one thing to somebody viewing this, etc. We have to find that balance ourselves. An organization can employ 5,000 people. You cannot expect the organization to find a work-life balance for all its people. The organization will have rules. This is whatever, you need to come into office at this time, this is the closing time, so many days privilege leave, casual leave, etc., etc. Within this, we need to find our balance. And in today's world, work and life, that balance is becoming blurred. And all of us end up doing some, a fair bit of office work at home. And it is also true, yes, that we do some of our personal work in the office, etc. It's getting blurred. Today, if you go to, let's say, a restaurant, find, you'll observe a family, right? Papa, mama,
kids.
Yes, children. Everybody's got their noses stuck in the phone. Maybe one papa is doing work. Right. I was in a hospital a few years ago for some minor surgery, and I was getting bored in the hospital bed. I ended up taking my laptop, and starting doing some work. Was there some big chaos in the organization? No, there was not. Did anyone point a gun at my head and do this work? No. It's just that I was doing and got bored, and I was checking my mails and replying to them. So work-life, balance itself is changing. It means different things to different people. But yes, each of us need to find our balance. We need to find time for our families. We need to find time for our hobbies. We need to go on holidays, right? Work is only one part of life, very important part of life. But there are other parts of life, to make a complete whole.
No, you're perfectly right. So, sir, I would just like to know from you, what would be your advice to all the youngsters who are really wanting to reach that CXO level? So some words of thoughts.
First, I'd say, follow your dreams. Do what you want to do, what you have your heart set on. Don't listen to others. And listen to others, yes, but don't necessarily have to follow what others say. What is your heart set on? Go for it. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. Make as many mistakes as you can while you're young. The older you get, the more difficult it is to take risks. And all of us make mistakes. Do not shy away from them. Making mistakes is not the problem. But if you made a mistake, try to rectify, try to recognize the fact that you made a mistake early on and take corrective action. That's what's very important. Keep abreast of what's going on. You have to imbibe new skills. Be employable. No longer, in today's changing world, and more so in the future, no longer can one take one's job for granted, any organization for granted, any business model for granted. That's a reality. And your industry may not be impacted, or it may be. You cannot predict today. Right. But you must always be employable. And the other thing is, enjoy yourself, have a blast.
So thanks, Mr. Basu. I think you've really been great in terms of inspiring, and I can remember the words that you're talking about, the persistence in terms of the effort that's required, and various such things that really a person needs to kind of demonstrate to reach a level. So nothing comes, with speed. You can't be on an elevator always. You will definitely need to take different routes to get your success. And I'm sure Mr. Basu shared his own success journeys and some of the good inspirational and motivational talks for you all. Thanks, Mr. Basu, and it's really a pleasure to have you on our show. And to all our viewers, I hope you've enjoyed the discussion. We will keep bringing to you many such stories and conversations. So stay connected with Radio Dwarka.
Thank you, Ruchi. Thank you for having me.